Gamblers may make loads of cash using clever tricks, but there's always a high chance they might be caught in the act and get into trouble. Here's a list of the tragic, true stories of Vegas gamblers who faced serious consequences for their actions. Number 11. Tommy Glenn Carmichael. Meet Tommy Glenn Carmichael, a man who was known for his cunning ways. For nearly 2 decades, he skillfully deceived casinos and successfully stole millions. But how did he make all of this possible? Well, Tommy's trick tools were simple yet clever. He used a tool named the slider or the monkey's paw. He would enter the slider's wire twisted through the machine's payout chute, setting off a secret switch. This would trick the machine into a false victory, and the jackpot would flow. But soon, the slot machines became more advanced, and so did Tommy's schemes. He then invented the light wand, which had a camera battery and a small light bulb. By emitting a blinding light, the light wand misled the machine's sensors, pouring out unearned coins. And this went on and on for some time. He enjoyed his dishonest accomplishment, bringing in thousands of dollars each day. But every dishonestly earned profit brings with it the possibility of downfall. In 2001, Tommy Carmichael's deceptive scheme started to fall apart. The FBI sensed something was wrong. They started to investigate things, and this exposed his web of lies. Tommy was sentenced to 326 days behind bars and 3 years under probation. The casinos closed their doors to him. The slot machines, once obedient to his tricks, stood silent. The man who had thought himself to be a master of fate found his own future forever altered. While Tommy Glenn Carmichael's inventive trick tools enabled him to deceive casinos for nearly 2 decades, his ill-gotten profits proved to be a double-edged sword. However, the next story on our list features a gambler who wasn't alone in challenging the overwhelming odds of a winning streak. Number 10. Mark William Bronco. In 2016, 3 gamblers disrupted the neon glow of the Bellagio Casino. Mark William Bronco, along with Jeffrey Martin and Anthony Grant Granito, devised a plan to cheat the place that attracted them. The group would head to the craps tables where Mark and another dealer were in charge. They then made secretive hop bets, which are valuable bets on specific dice number combinations. And how did all of this work? Some members of the groups were craps dealers, including Bronco. Whenever they were dealing at the craps table, another member of the gang would sit down and start whispering confusing bets which nobody else could hear properly before the dice were rolled. Then, Bronco would pay out as though his accomplice had bet on that outcome. After all, nobody knew he hadn't thanks to his phantom hop bet. And they might have gotten away with it, except for one thing. The group tried their trick on 76 occasions during a 2-year period. The casino staff became suspicious when they noticed the group's luck, defying odds of 452 billion to 1. And that's how they were exposed. The Clark County District Court judge ordered the group to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars as compensation. As for the main leading character, Mark William Bronco, he was imprisoned for 4 to 10 years. Additionally, he was listed as number 36 in the Nevada Gaming Commission's Black Book. This means that if he ever enters a casino, it would be considered a felony. Mark William Bronco's scheme ultimately caught the eyes of the law, but the early 1990s saw betrayal within the Vegas casinos, followed by severe consequences. Number 9. Ron Harris. In the early 1990s, Vegas's casinos were double-crossed by someone from within their own walls. The culprit was Ron Harris. He was a software engineer and was responsible for writing anti-cheating software for the Nevada Gaming Control Board. But instead of doing his duty, Ron was secretly working on something else. He carefully created a digital illusion, and he implanted hidden controls within the machines he was meant to defend. Now, these switches would respond to a specific sequence of coins, and this transformed the ordinary into extraordinary jackpots. According to CNN, Ron Harris, through his deceitful attempts, had rigged over 30 machines. And that is when he felt that he needed a group of trustworthy companions to join him on this journey to expand his fortune. Together, they made hundreds and thousands of dollars without anyone suspecting them. But even the craftiest of schemes can be exposed, and that's what happened to Ron. It was in Atlantic City that things began to unravel. One of Ron's partner's bold attempts to manipulate a Keno game was noticed by watchful observers. And as the matter was investigated, it led them to Ron Harris, and he was caught. Despite the delays, justice prevailed. The walls closed in on Ron Harris. In 1996, he accepted responsibility on 4 counts of slot cheating, and he was sentenced to prison for 7 years. The bright lights of Las Vegas faded as Harris's fate was finalized. Behind bars, he came face to face with the consequences of his choices. Ron Harris's slot trick reveals the dangers of deceiving the casino systems. The next story takes it a step further, highlighting the downfall of another gambler who employed a clever tactic to outsmart the system. Number 8. Louis Colavecchio. Louis Colavecchio, also known as the Coin, was no ordinary gambler. He excelled in creating fake coins that resembled the real ones. Using these forged tokens, he planned to amass wealth without risking a single genuine coin. But the house always holds its secrets close. In 1997, Louis Colavecchio's trickery was exposed. The courts handed down a 27-month sentence, placing him behind prison walls. It was reported that he was arrested in Atlantic City as he was found to have 750 pounds of coins in his car. His fake coins did bring him temporary success, but they were the very chains that bound him to his ruin. At the age of 76, Louis Colavecchio found himself in the clutches of the law once again. He was caught red-handed in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, trying to use fake $100 bills to cheat the casinos again. The very act he couldn't resist would become the final chapter in his tragic story. Louis Colavecchio's fake coins may have granted him temporary success, but their eventual discovery was inevitable. Similar to this story, the next group of gamblers also couldn't evade the casino's watchful eyes forever. Number 7. MIT Blackjack Team. Coming up is the story of the MIT Blackjack Team. They were a group of smart people who tried to win big using tricky methods to count cards and casinos from the 1970s to 1990s. The team was made up of students from famous schools like MIT and Harvard. And they used science to figure out how to play blackjack better than the casinos. Basically, they wanted to beat the casinos and make money their own way. The leader of the group was Bill Kaplan. He taught over 100 players how to count cards, and together they made around $10 million from casinos all around the world. People didn't really like their methods, but what they did was technically legal. However, their big story is about more than just success. The casinos figured out their trick and stopped them from playing. Even though some of them kept going until the 2000s, most of the team had stopped by 1993. Their victories soon saw a downside. Members of the team got banned from casinos across the country, and they were told to leave and never come back. One of them even got arrested for counting cards. The story of the MIT Blackjack Team is even remembered in a book called Bringing Down the House and in the movie 21. Their journey reminds us that taking shortcuts can lead to problems, even in the flashy world of gambling. The MIT Blackjack Team's calculated methods did help them gain some fortune, but it couldn't help them escape the clutches of the law. Just like them, another gambler was prey to greed, and he faced some unforeseen circumstances. Number 6. Michael Colbert. Between 2009 and 2013, something dark happened in the world of Las Vegas casinos. And the person at the center of it all was Michael Colbert, who worked for a company called Cantor Gaming. Cantor Gaming was in the business of taking bets on sports. They were a big name in the casino world. But unfortunately, they got caught up in something terrible. Michael, who was supposed to make sure things were fair, ended up doing illegal things because of his greed. He and his team took a lot of money from people who weren't supposed to be betting. And on top of this, they made it seem like these people had won when they hadn't. They pretended that bad money was good money. The group even helped some illegal gamblers clean their dirty money. But the police found out what was happening, and everything fell apart. They took away over $2.8 million in money that wasn't earned the right way. And they arrested 25 people, including Michael Colbert. Ultimately, the company had to pay a massive amount of money to fix the mess they made, and Michael Colbert was in big trouble. He could have gone to jail for up to 5 years, but things took an unexpected turn here. The company made a deal to make things right, and because of that deal, Michael didn't have to go to jail. What was the deal, you ask? Well, he agreed to pay $22.5 million to resolve the issues in 2016. Michael's deal did spare him from jail time, but the next story is of a gambler whose attempt to cheat a tournament ended in a disastrous way. Number 5. Christian Lusardi. Next up is the story of Christian Lusardi, who had a brush with the law at the Borgata Casino in 2014. Christian had a plan that didn't exactly match the rules and regulations. He brought fake poker chips into a big poker tournament at the Borgata Casino, and he wanted to use these fake chips to get ahead and win a lot of money. The tournament had a prize of $372,000 for the winner, and Christian Lusardi wanted to cheat his way to the top. Now, here's what he did. At the start of the tournament, he secretly added the fake chips to his stack. This made it look like he had more money than he really did. And as the person with the most chips, this did help him become the leader of the tournament. But his cheating didn't last long. The tournament's officials noticed something strange. They saw that there were too many chips, and they got suspicious. So they started looking into it right away, even while the tournament was going on. And they soon found out the truth about the fake chips. At that point, Christian Lusardi realized that he might get caught, so he did something desperate. He tried to get rid of the fake chips by flushing them down the toilet. Unfortunately, this caused big problems. The pipes got clogged and everyone found out what he had done. The fake chips were worth a lot, $2.7 million in total. And they were in the pipes. The tournament had to stop because of all this mess. And Christian Lusardi was caught at another hotel nearby, and he admitted to what he did. He confessed that he put fake chips worth $800,000 into the tournament. His action didn't only disrupt the tournament, it also hurt his own future. But he never exactly faced the consequences for his actions. Surprisingly, he never had to face trial for the Borgata cheating, but his punishment was still serious. He spent 5 years behind bars for a totally separate crime. Coming up next is the story of a gambler who faced multiple legal issues over time. Number 4. Anagiros Karaborniotis, aka Archie Karras. Archie Karras made headlines in the 1990s for turning just $50 into an astonishing $40 million. His fame came from something called The Run. Between 1992 and 1994, he played against some of the most famous gamblers in Las Vegas, like Stu Unger, Doyle Brunson, Puggy Pearson, Chip Reese, and Johnny Moss. Most of these legends are no longer with us, but they're still spoken about today. But even up against them, Archie Karras won a lot of cash. His favorite spot to play was a casino called Binion's Horseshoe in downtown Las Vegas. But his luck didn't last forever. A poker star named Johnny Chan actually beat him and took away $900,000 in a series of poker games. However, Karras' story didn't have a happy ending. By 1996, he had lost all of his $40 million winnings. The same luck that helped him win big turned its back on him. But there's more to the story. Archie Karras was also in big trouble. He got caught cheating at cards 4 times. In 1988, 1992, 1996, and even in 2007. Just 7 years after his last encounter with the law, he was sent to a Las Vegas jail. Well, he was accused of cheating at a casino in California. The casino says he used tricky methods to win at blackjack and took away $8 grand. So the police from Nevada arrested him, and they even searched his Las Vegas home. And the problems he's facing now are even more serious. Archie is also guilty of breaking into casinos and cheating to win. As a result of his actions, he faced a 3-year probation in 2014. All of this is a far cry from the days when he was famous and was even featured in a magazine called Cigar Aficionado. Archie Karras' remarkable gambling run came to a halt with repeated cheating convictions that damaged his once celebrated legacy. And the next story on our list took an equally unexpected legal turn. Number 3. John Kane. John Kane managed to win more than $500 grand by using a glitch in video poker machines found all over the country. He figured out that he could replay hands with different bets, so he spent hours playing with just a penny. When he got a good hand, he would replay it with a big bet and win thousands of dollars. John and his friend Andre Nestor thought they had it all figured out. Nestor had noticed a different bug in the machines that allowed the pair to double their jackpots. Together, they'd worked out a gambler's dream. But their actions caught the attention of the law. Both John Kane and Andre Nestor got arrested, and they faced serious charges for what they did. Their trial was about hacking and working together to cheat. The federal prosecutors wanted them to pay for what they did. But this is where things turned out differently than expected. John Kane's lawyer argued that they didn't do anything illegal. They simply used the buttons that were on the machine. Surprisingly, the argument worked, and the charges were dropped. And both friends walked free. But their tricky system no longer works since the machines were fixed. John Kane's story had a surprising ending. Next up is an unsolved mystery, leaving behind a trail of questions and speculations. Number 2. William John Brennan. It was the year 1992, and William John Brennan had a job at a place called the Stardust Hotel on the famous Las Vegas Strip. He worked with money related to sports bets. But on one strange day, after a football game, William took off with a bag full of money and chips. He was carrying almost $500,000 with him. After that, he disappeared like a ghost. And here's the strangest part. In a place where cameras are everywhere and nothing goes unnoticed, William managed to slip away without a trace. None of the cameras saw him leaving. It's like he vanished into thin air. The police tried to find him, of course. They looked for him, but they couldn't find any answers. And here's the really puzzling thing. It's been almost 30 years, but nobody knows what happened to William John Brennan. Can you believe it? It's like his story has no ending. People still wonder what drove him to take the path of vanishing wealth. Did he flee the clutches of justice, or did he step into a different world? While William's story didn't get a proper ending, the last gambler on our list faced a harrowing end. Number 1. Richard Marcus. Richard Marcus was a homeless man, but he soon found a new path. He got a job at a casino as a blackjack and baccarat dealer, and there he dealt cards and handled chips. As time went on, Richard learned sneaky ways to cheat. He even bragged about it on his own website and admitted that he had cheated the system. One of the popular moves he pulled off was called past posting. He would make small bets and wait for a win. Then, like a magician, he would secretly swap some chips to make a small bet look like a big one. And this would turn a $300 win into 10 grand in a flash. But tricks have a way of coming to light. The authorities were onto him, and Richard was finally caught. His games of deceit were exposed, and his days of fooling the casinos were over. The law ordered a harsh punishment for Richard Marcus. He was banned from every casino in Nevada. The very places he once worked at became off-limits forever. This concludes the collection of tragic, true stories of gamblers who attempted to cheat. What they all have in common is the allure of quick money and clever tactics. However, these choices inevitably led to legal consequences. But our journey doesn't end here. If you're curious about the legal consequences one faces when they're caught cheating in Sin City, don't miss our next video. What happens when you are caught cheating in Vegas? Click here to unravel the mysteries of the casino world.